Good afternoon, esteemed traders and investors. Today is Wednesday, January 21st. I present to your attention another market review for InstaForex. As always, I'm glad to be here with you today. So, there are some trading ideas. As for the news, on Wednesday, inflation for the pound came out higher than expected. President Trump at 16:30, I remind you, is in Davos, possibly, so he might make some statements there. That is the news for now. Additionally, the upcoming release of the pending home sales index at 6 o'clock p.m. Moscow time will also likely provide a dollar impulse. So, let us take a closer look at what we can trade on the charts today. Let us get started. So let's start with gold, which has experienced a notable increase again. It's already up by a staggering 12,000 points in just one single Asian session. The Asian markets are buying up gold at an incredibly rapid pace. Since Monday, from 15 to 1920. Not since Monday, the instrument has already risen by an incredible 27,000 points. And today, Trump is giving a speech. Perhaps this will be the climax. As for gold, of course, everyone is hoping for a reversal, and we've already seen the first short impulses starting to appear. Maybe Europe has already taken some profits here. Right now, the instrument is sitting at the 15s, forming a triangle. There are very weak signs of a reversal, but the first short initiative is there. I wouldn't trade here yet, neither long nor short. Why? Because we're in a phase of strong bullish distribution. There's no intrigue, no accumulation zones, no clusters, no liquidity hunting. I just don't see any of that here yet. It's very strange for such a powerful impulse, like the one we had on Monday, to be followed by this. The 4,652 level hasn't been broken. Well, I think it might happen sooner or later. It'll happen. Shorting just for the sake of it would be foolish. No interesting setups exist. The market is overstretched. So, let's move on to the euro-dollar pair. Yesterday, there were also some strong climaxes at the highs here. Looking closely at the current technical picture we have laid out before us. Next, it is important to note that this trading week started with a powerful long impulse movement, which strongly suggests that the previous sluggish short trend, which lasted for a full week, a second, and almost a third, has now been completely reversed in just one single week. So, from a strategic perspective, there is certainly a strong desire to buy, but at such extremely high price levels, of course, it is not the best idea right now. Of course, you certainly can attempt to summon the spirit of the mathematician Antonio Fibonacci during a spiritual seance and ask questions to him while remaining in a deep trance in a state of oblivion. Where is the 50% level from his impulse? Alternatively, you can just watch my detailed review and witness the fact that during a market correction of just 600 points while Trump is speaking, the instrument can move even more points than that. It would be interesting and profitable to buy into this instrument, and in my opinion, 600 is just the start. They can go from 300 to 600, which is up to the 38% Fibonacci retracement. In any case, the lower the euro, US dollar quotes go, the better. Ideally, it would be great to get in right around the 38% level here. Yes, that is correct, because by doing it that way, you will have a significantly lower level of financial risk. So, if we manage to get these favorable market prices, and it is always much better to deal with imaginary market makers in exactly this way, then we will definitely buy right here. However, if we do not get these prices and the quotes just keep rising, then we should simply allow them to continue upward without us. I think you understand the logic. Accordingly, this could happen later today, or it might never happen at all, but if it does eventually occur, we will be ready to participate. If not, then we'll wait for other opportunities.
Looking for real trading advantages? InstaForex offers the lowest spreads and commissions. On major currency pairs, our conditions are better. Lower spreads and only $5 commission instead of $7. That's real savings for every trader. And now, let's get back to the market review.
The British pound US dollar pair, unlike the euro US dollar, is already deeply and steadily testing the support level. And unlike the euro US dollar pair, the British pound US dollar, I am currently showing the 15-minute time frame, did not break through the key important extremum yesterday. I would say the one from January 13th, no. The quote is 1.34940. Roughly there, and in my opinion, this is the area worth hunting for, right on target. From the current prices and above, we have a potential for growth of almost 1,000 points, and ahead of us, there is still the short breakdown zone at the level of 135,270. Previously, that was the second level, and the third is the 161 Fibonacci. As God intended, you can play around with the Fibonacci again, or don't play with the Fibonacci, just watch my reviews. Switching over to the Australian dollar is moving towards its highs. It has left us with a very interesting platform here, and judging by the candles we're seeing now on the 4-hour time frame, it doesn't look like it wants to reverse. Well, whatever the case may be, maybe there will eventually be a new high reached, and from that new high, short signals will finally appear, and this zone will be broken sooner or later. But we definitely need a technically sound entry point, which we simply don't have yet, and for some, there's a direct break of the short trend right on the chart itself. Accordingly, we repaint our ambiguous green rectangles into a solid green and believe that the instrument will continue to grow further until a new layer appears. There's nothing new here yet, so be careful. I think there's a high probability that the instrument will update its January highs.
I also want to remind you that every InstaForex client automatically receives loss insurance. For every $1 of compensation, only $4 of your friend's investments are required. Just submit a request, and your losses will be recovered. Let's continue with the review.
Now, regarding the US dollar to Canadian dollar, a very curious Canadian fellow. But since there's some unrest starting in Canada now, unrest surrounding Trump, let's put it that way. Here, on the 4-hour time frame, there are ideas. Well, first of all, the instrument has technically tested the nearest resistance zone during the recent rise, around 1.38935, and is now trying to correct. Perhaps this is the beginning of a new strong wave of dollar weakening, and we believe in it, remember it, believe, and mourn. So, accordingly, selling there with huge stop losses, for example at 0.400, I think it's unlikely that any of you will do that. In accordance with this strategy, you can look for the nearest short breakdown within the current market structure and try to go short from there, as experienced traders often suggest. And try to make some money here by playing on the downside with a stop loss, at least for about 500 points, with the first target at 600 and the second already at 2,300. If it doesn't go down and the highs are broken, the next short entry zones are up ahead. They should be at the level of 1.39770. And here you can try to execute your sell orders at higher price points, aiming for a substantial and unexpected currency windfall that could sweep over your vulnerable trader's body if the quotes collapse even to around 131. I would not be surprised by such a turn of events. After you've crossed yourself, we move on to the next pair.
With InstaForex, you can triple your profit. For every $4 of your friend's investments, you automatically get an extra $1 added to your profit, with no extra conditions.
Dollar yen, and dollar yen continues to stagnate in a flat range. No wonder, because no one has cancelled the yen's devaluation and the weakness of the US dollar has faded a bit. Well, but here's something interesting we've got. In fact, you could say the level is around 157.419. That's the low from the past and the week before last, and it hasn't been broken. We have quite a respectable short-term initiative, which interestingly came right after a remarkably impressive short breakdown. So, as long as the instrument remains below the highs of this initiative, it makes sense to consider shorts. If you sell now with a stop at 500 and a take profit at 600, well, that's not the best risk-reward ratio, to say the least. As for oil, the expiration has passed, and today oil even offered better prices than yesterday. And the overall upward trend continues. It keeps stirring up my anxious trader dreams. So the instrument is rising, and I think the 6,257 level will be the first target, because that's a double top. Between October and January, we experienced 2 extended breakouts on the 4-hour chart. I hope all of that will also be broken through.
We also have a great offer. Fund your account and get a 30% tradable bonus. Trade with additional capital and expand your opportunities with InstaForex.
Huin, my friends, Huin is plunging into the abyss. I'm broadcasting the H4 time frame, and let me remind you, after the break in the long trend, there's a short break that still hasn't been tested, since Trump is a big fan of playing with bitcoins. Let's call it that, let's call it his game. You know, some people have Tetris, others have bitcoins. So, if we get a test of this zone, we'll be selling. Until that test happens, we won't. Now, the American stock indices, S&P 500, Nasdaq, are all in the dumps after the gaps at the start of the week. Currently, everything is trading at the bottom. Maybe Trump will provide some much-needed clarifications about what to do with this. As far as I understand, we have officially encountered a significant break in the long trend, and we're trading below, well, at the very least, in the S&P 500, we are below the short side break, from where, in theory, one could potentially look to sell. Friends, InstaForex offers a free consultation with a personal trading consultant. Follow the link in the video description, fill out the callback form, and gain access to exclusive offers and special trading conditions. BRT Plus for risk-free trading. That's all. Trade with InstaForex, subscribe to the channel, and stay tuned for new reviews.